Hey guys, this is Adrian with the Upholstery Studio, and in this video I will be showing y'all my process on how I make my favorite project, my most popular request, and of my own design, a duffel bag. I first had the idea to make a duffel bag for myself when I stumbled across a Facebook ad for Buffalo Jackson Trading Company. That's a leather goods store. They have a bunch of stuff, but they also have incredibly nice duffel bags. And upon seeing the price, I could definitely not afford it at the time. And so I thought to myself, well, I could make that. So I gave it my best shot. That led me to make my very first duffel bag, which just so happened to be made out of my grandma's old couch, RIP. And trust me when I say my very first bag did not look great. But upon a few revisions, I was able to come up with this current design. I actually made myself a duffel bag very similar to the one you see in this video. It's actually that black one I made. That black one was an experiment. I tried out a new type of leather. It was like a really thin veg tan. But moving on from that, it's not quite as baller as the one I'm making in this video. But regardless, I use it every single day, and it is actually super convenient to have. See, I used to have a problem losing my wallet and keys, like really, really bad. But now what I do, I keep them attached to my duffel bag. I actually have my keys on a keychain I made, clipped to some of the hardware on my bag, and one of those side pockets, I keep my wallet in there and it never comes out. So now, instead of losing my wallet and keys constantly, I'm only losing my wallet now constantly. And some might hear that and say, Adrian, you just have a man purse, or my dad likes to call it a merce. But you know what? I'm proud of my merce. I know some of you are wondering, that's cool and all, Adrian, but I don't care about that. How did you make the duffel bag, and what in the world are you using? So allow me to tell you. The way I went about the design was really simple, actually. All I did was go on Google and type in cool leather duffel bags, and I picked the best one that looked out to me that also looked easy to make. And I really stuck with the tombstone design. Like on the end caps you see on the duffel bag, it kind of has that tombstone look. I really like that design, and that's basically what you see with this duffel bag. As for the measurements of the exact panels and whatnot, that is a little bit trickier. Basically what I did, I drew out that tombstone shape on a Little Caesars pizza box, and I just kept like cutting it out until I got the shape that I really liked. And then I transferred that to a much nicer TV box. But regardless, I used that as my template. And that's actually the template I still use that you see in this video. And I have all my measurements written out on that. It was a bit of a trial and error to get the main body of the bag the right size. So when I did finally have it figured out, I just wrote all the notes I needed for myself on my pattern. But if you really want to know exactly how to make this duffel bag, this isn't a perfect step-by-step detailed video on how to make this exact duffel bag. But if you are really interested in making super nice duffel bags like this, because there's a whole lot of different types. You have duffel bags, messenger bags, they all fall in the same category. I highly recommend, if you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, they have a lot of like dirt cheap bags that actually look super cool. There have been a few that I actually wanted to buy. I think you can find some for like under $10. My recommendation, if you really want to dive into something like this, get something that already has the perfect pattern. Buy one of those, deconstruct it, trace that on much nicer materials like this leather you see here. In my opinion, that's a great way to learn how to do something, is to deconstruct somebody else's work. That's essentially how I've learned 80% of what I'm able to do. I currently am only really making these bags for close friends and family, but let me know if you guys are interested, if I have enough people asking for them. Maybe I'll make an Etsy shop or give y'all some sort of way to purchase these if y'all do so desire. Or if you're more interested in a specific step-by-step exactly how to make these with the precise measurements, let me know and I will do my best to get that video out to you as well. As for the materials I'm using, for this exact bag, I'm using 3 to 4 ounce water buffalo. Now, the ounce is referring to the thickness of the weight. 3 to 4 ounce usually falls in about 1 millimeter to 1.2 millimeter. Don't quote me on that, but it's in that general range. And that's the best thickness I've found to still give it a little bit of heft and some weight, but still to be able to fold everything under and have the material still easily manipulated under the machine. As for the interior of the bag, I'm using a 10 ounce olive drab waxed canvas. Now, the ounce you hear there is also referring to the thickness of it. I mean, it's just a regular, like, waxed canvas. It's not too crazy thick. It is a little bit more durable than your average canvas. As to why they measure thickness in ounces, your guess is as good as mine. That's just the way they do it. For the hardware I'm using matte black brass hardware, and all of the leather and the hardware I always get from the buckle guy. And for anything else I use in this video, gear, machines, materials, I'm going to do my best to link everything in the description. So definitely go check that out if you want to use these same materials. The rivets you see me using, those are antique brass double cap rivets. They are super easy to put on. Basically, all you do, you punch a hole and you have a little die set. You just smash them together super hard and they hold pretty dang well. Now, the most important thing I use in this bag and all of my projects is the thread. I use SolarFix 2000 PTFE thread. Basically, all that fancy nonsense means it is crazy indestructible and it's going to last like 300 years longer than this bag ever will. It's honestly kind of annoying sometimes because if your scissors aren't really sharp, the thread won't cut. It's that strong. So make sure you got really sharp scissors, by the way, especially if you're working with leather. It's more of a quality of life thing. It's just a hassle when you have dull scissors, to be honest. One thing I absolutely never do, no ifs, ands, or buts, is sacrifice the quality of the materials for whatever I'm doing. Because one thing I have learned, you really do get what you pay for. If you see a full hide of leather that is super nice, but it's surprisingly cheap, there's usually a reason that's most likely going to come with a lot of blemishes and flaws and scars and who knows what. So I always try and go all out with the materials if possible, and this duffel bag is no different. One thing you will come to find on my channel is I'm not a record-breaking designer by any means. I like to leave the designing mainly up to Mother Nature. Paired with the fact that leather is super nice to work with, I see no reason to go crazy with the design and shapes and whatnot. Just let Mother Nature do all the heavy lifting. That is why I personally would much rather have an animal slaughtered so I can harvest the skin off their corpse for my own personal use. Because death to all animals, am I right? I'm just kidding, that is a joke. I absolutely love animals and I wish them all no harm. But that doesn't make me vegan though. I'm still gonna eat them and use their skin, just ethically. With upholstery, furniture, making bags, or any other creation type hobby, a good goal is to always get just a little better with each project. I like to think of my first project kinda like the very first plane that the Wright brothers made. Looked kinda neat, functioned okay-ish, but just barely. Whereas now, my projects are probably like a nice Toyota Camry. Reliable and probably won't break. Could look better, but they don't look bad. If you compare the old to the new, it doesn't hold a candle to it, and that's kind of how my upholstery is. Old stuff looks like a kindergartner did it, whereas now it actually looks passable. For those of you who really want to get started in something new, but aren't quite confident, don't want to mess it up, or waste all of your expensive materials, by all means, let me know down in the comments if there's something that you would like to see me make that would give you a little bit more insight and help you out. I am more than happy messing up the project for you. I will do that so you don't have to. if you're still watching at this point, you either really like this video or really hate this video. For those of you that really like this video, I would like to ask you to consider subscribing and turning on notifications to this channel. And you want to subscribe, but you don't want all the notifications, maybe don't click the notification bell, because the last thing we want to happen is you're constantly getting notified on all the little things I'm doing, and you get really annoyed and you're like, you know what? I don't need to subscribe to this guy anyways, and you unsubscribe. We don't want that. So maybe don't do that. Do what you want. And here we have the final product. Overall, a very nice looking bag. I think it came together quite nice. And here's a better look at the interior. Now that it's finished, you can see I finished off those inside seams with some leather, and I have those two nice big zippers on the inside. Because this is primarily going to be used for a travel bag, and he's going to have a lot of stuff in here. So that's always a nice thing to have. And I think it turned out pretty well. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think about this bag. I would love to hear from you. And I'll do my best to link everything you would need in the description, so go check that out. But let me know if you like this. Maybe I'll make some more bags or whatever. But I will see y'all in the next one. And before we go, here's a word from our sponsors.